Welcome to Chamber Exchange, a TV show. My name is Tim Murray, President and CEO of the Worcester Regional Chamber of Commerce. And Chamber Exchange, a TV show, is brought to you by our sponsors, Bank Hometown and St. Vincent Hospital. And their support allows us to have important conversations regarding economic development and bring on Chamber member guests and members to talk about things that they're doing in the community related to economic development, jobs, and the region at large. I want to welcome in our first segment, Darnell Dunn, who is the new Director of Business Recruitment at the Worcester Regional Chamber of Commerce. Darnell, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Good. We're glad you're able to join us, and maybe for our viewers, I'll just kind of give a little background. So 10 years ago at the Chamber, we established the position of Director of Business Recruitment, working with the city, some of our other partners, the Worcester Business Development Corporation, MBI, some of the business groups that exist in Central Mass, our affiliate chambers. We created that position to kind of externally focus on identifying companies outside the region that are growing and expanding, network and build relationships with the commercial real estate brokers and people in the site selectors and VPs of real estate at various companies to help make the case and let them know about opportunities that exist in Worcester and Central Massachusetts. And we've had some pretty good success, with the establishment of that role and bringing housing developers, manufacturers. We played a key role in that regard, in recruiting and bringing the Worcester Red Sox to bear, working with the city. And so coming out of COVID, we have redefined the position to go back what it was to the Director of Business Recruitment, and you joined us in June as our new Director of Business Recruitment.
Yeah, absolutely.
So maybe if you could just share for our viewers, you come from a real estate background, which is why you are the ideal candidate.
Right. So I came from a Worcester-based full-service commercial real estate brokerage and was there specialized in tenant and landlord representation for owners of office and industrial property here in Central Mass.
Yeah, and so with that, familiar with a lot of the properties, whether it be pad-ready sites or existing buildings that might be ideal for relocation or expansion or retrofit.
Yeah, and we're building out a database to be able to identify those and to better position Worcester for those opportunities for people who are looking for sites here in the city. Right,
and as it relates to some of the areas of focus that we're kind of contemplating. We did a study at the Chamber back in 2014, a very detailed economic development study that looked at the region's kind of strengths and where there are opportunities for growth. And certainly manufacturing continues to be a major cluster, one of the top four. At one time manufacturing was number one, but we still have identified and recognized cluster in manufacturing. And with reshoring taking place, a lot of companies rethinking given world events, supply chain issues, the experience and what lessons learned through COVID about bringing manufacturing operations back to the United States, and thus hopefully here in Central Mass where there's a cluster.
Right, absolutely. And with some of the bills that are being debated in, or going to conference committee rather, on Beacon Hill, economics lead bill, there's a lot of dollars there for life science and for climate tech, which Worcester can definitely be a location where those companies think about locating.
Right. Manufacturing, life sciences, and biotech. You mentioned climate tech. One of the things too, though, is housing. We also did a detailed housing study back in 2019 with some financial support from the WBDC, and we've used that housing study to recruit housing developers to the area. Some of the projects that are currently under construction, those developers have talked about that housing study as being a factor of why they made their first investment and foray into Worcester. Where do you see, kind of some opportunities there with the housing study and kind of bringing in developers of different size, affordable housing developers, market rate, senior housing, et cetera?
I see real opportunity along that west side artery on Lancaster Street connecting Salisbury Street to Chandler Street, particularly that area around the Worcester Art Museum and the area Morris Square around the old Commerce High School.
Commerce High School, yeah. The old Paul Revere, yeah. Or then Unum building, yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, one of the things that the study that the Chamber did with Steve Meada, who's an architect and a kind of urban planner, retired firefighter, helped in the development of the fire station on Franklin Street, which was the site of the cold storage warehouse fire, is that whole area was a bad urban planning mistake where they basically put state highways in neighborhoods. And when you think of, Lancaster Street and Irving Street and, Harvard Street, one way, 3 lanes that divide the downtown from some of the Elm Park, Crown Hill, Lower Salisbury, Chandler Street neighborhoods. How can we skinny those streets, reestablish sidewalks, trees, maybe some pocket parks? But that whole thing was developed around the automobile. So you've got all these vacant parking lots. So one of the things that we're going to be working on is trying to let those property owners know this highest and best youth, and maybe marry them up with some housing developers.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's so much opportunity for infill development, and also that can feed into downtown and making that more vibrant and increasing the foot traffic and those kinds of things. So.
Right, right. And so just, you mentioned kind of your commercial real estate background. People, may not be familiar with kind of what that entails, and, people may be familiar, many of the viewers, with, okay, I'm going to maybe buy a home or sell a home, and I have a residential real estate broker. But what about like the commercial real estate broker world, and how do they then touch base with potential clients?
Yeah, I think the biggest part of that is just understanding how those folks make decisions. What they look at when they say, okay, hey, I want this building to go or business to go here instead of there. So I think that's some of the things that we're going to be able to do at the Chamber with some of the studies that we've been empowered with.
Right. And in the short time you've been with the Chamber, you've been spending some time in Boston, different groups and associations, Mass Econ, I think others who are talking with potential companies that are interested in Massachusetts and trying to make the case that Worcester and Central Mass should be on the radar screen.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So in planning to do a lot more of that, but just gathering all the information that we need to be able to make sure that we're on the radar with them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, folks like Mass Econ, as you mentioned, Mass Inc. There was just a great meeting yesterday in Boston at the UMass Club talking about how gateway cities can gather that information to be able to, spur on economic growth, which is what we're all about.
Right, right. And Mass Bio out there worldwide, kind of talking about the Massachusetts brand in life sciences and biotech, and we think there's a niche here in biomanufacturing. So you'll be the point person here locally in Massachusetts, New England, and some cases around the country and globe, letting people know and where there are opportunities that exist in Central Mass and the region. Yeah. And you're always interested in, if people out there are aware of a company that's growing and expanding, or have a business that's growing and expanding, need additional space, sometimes you can be the facilitator as well and make the right referrals. So if people are interested, they can contact you, correct?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Owners, developers, landlords who are looking for the highest and best use of their property, please give us a call.
Okay. And that's on the Chamber website, worcesterchamber.org, and D. Dunn, D-D-U-N-N at worcesterchamber, all one word, .org.
That's right.
All right. Good stuff. Darnell Dunn, the new Director of Business Recruitment for the Worcester Regional Chamber of Commerce. We're excited to have him aboard as we look to kind of grow jobs and investment in Central Massachusetts and the city of Worcester. Stay with us. We're going to come right back on our next segment.
These days, you've got your hands full in life. That's why we help you bank simply and securely with tools like Face ID and Touch ID. It's why we make it easy to make purchases on the go and get cash back while you're at it. Why we help you quickly deposit checks wherever you are. And it's why we lend a hand with sending and receiving money right from your phone. So even when you're on the move, you can manage your finances. Bank Hometown. Unlock your potential.
Worcester, a city with heart, history, and promise. A hub of innovation in life sciences, education, and healthcare. Home to multi-generational families, first-generation citizens, and next-generation baseball and hockey greats. Home to great parks, world-class museums, theaters, and restaurants. Worcester, the place to visit, to invest, and to call home.